Ms. German,
Here.
Mr. Hafer, Mr. Heckman, Mr. Heinel,
Here.
Mr. Hinton, Mr. Halipka,
Here.
Mr. Johnson, Mr. McGinnis, Mr. Perlow,
Here.
Ms. Pinero, Mr. Warren,
Please press
Here.
1 now to activate a recently received card.
Ms. Wolfson,
Here.
and I see Mr. Hinton joined.
Yes, here.
Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And I see Ms. Pinero, you just joined us. Thank you.
I just joined Nancy.
I'm sorry, who just joined?
Mr. Johnson.
Oh, Mr. Johnson. Good to see you, Mr. Johnson. Okay, Ms. Bensley, is there any changes to the tentative agenda as published?
No changes, Madam Chair.
In the June 13th email, you received draft minutes from the May 16th meeting. Has everybody had an opportunity to go over those minutes? Are there any changes or corrections? If not hearing any.
Motion.
Okay, all right, there, jump right to it. Okay, and then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. First on the agenda, we have a presentation by Mr. Andrew Brown from the Baltimore County Department of Public Works and Transportation on the Cycle 2042 Water Supply and Sewage Master Plan amendments. After Mr. Brown has finished his introduction, I will call for a motion to set a public hearing on the matter. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Brown.
Thank you for holding.
Hi, everyone.
Right,
Thank you
let's-
very much.
Mute ourselves, please.
All right, I'm going to share my screen here. So just a second, get my PowerPoint up. Okay. Can everyone see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, I will proceed. Good afternoon. My name is Andrew Brown. I am a civil engineer, project manager with the Department of Public Works and Transportation, and I am here to introduce the annual water supply and sewerage plan amendment for Cycle 42. Go on to the next slide. So I'm going to start with a brief overview of the cycle amendment process. Please pardon some of the small text in the flow chart, but to everyone's relief, I'm not going to be covering this in detail. I'll just be giving you a general overview. So the cycle amendment process is governed by the April 11, 1990 executive order, which specifies the annual process for petitioners to amend the water supply and sewerage plan. This process begins with the May 1st deadline for the petitions. We'll proceed with public notice and staff review, and then that takes us to where we are today. The petitions are introduced to the planning board, and a public hearing is typically scheduled for July. Once the planning board votes in September, the planning board report will be circulated to the county executive and then introduced to the county council. Once a council signed resolution is issued, it will be distributed to the Maryland Department of the Environment and the Maryland Department of Planning for final review. And the process is typically concluded just before the next begins with the issuance of a final action letter and notification of final action to the petitioners. So this year for Cycle 42, we received one petition as shown on the public notice. The public notice was posted around the county office building and the Baltimore Sun and the Daily Record, and it was included in a press release in compliance with the executive order. For your reference, this is a list of definitions for all of the water and sewerage map designations. The designations that are directly pertaining to this petition will be S1, existing service areas, and S6, areas of future consideration. Here you'll see an aerial image of the property located at 5301 Keach Road, which is the subject of amendment petition number 24-01. The property is located in Halethorpe, Maryland, and is bifurcated by Interstate 95. The subject property currently has water service to the existing dwelling from water mains running along Gun Road and up Keach Road. The subject property does not currently have access to active public sewer mains. Shown in yellow near the property, there is an existing 16-inch concrete encased ductile iron sewer pipe that is capped at both ends. This pipe was installed for future use during the construction of Interstate 95, and it is not in active service. Existing gravity sewer does serve the property to the north and crosses under Interstate 95 and connects to a pump station near the intersection of Viaduct Avenue and Woodland Drive, where it is then pumped up to South Rolling Road. Whoops, I advanced the slides too quickly there. Last slide here will be that this is a map showing, or there are two maps here showing the water and sewer designation for the property located at 5301 Keach Road. The entire property is within the metropolitan district, and the majority of the property is located outside of the urban-rural demarcation line, with the exception of a small sliver that overlaps a portion of the property to the east of Interstate 95. The current water and sewerage map designations are W1 and S6, and the petitioner is requesting that the sewer designation be changed to S1, existing service area. The petitioner is requesting a sewer map designation change with the intention of abandoning the existing septic tank and connecting to Baltimore County Public Sewer. Justifications provided by the petitioner for the change are the location of the existing public sewer adjacent to the property, and that connection to public sewer is, quote, in the best interest of local water quality, the surrounding community, and the property's future, end quote. Recommendations from the Department of Public Works and Transportation, Department of Planning, and the Department of Environmental Protection and Sustainability are provided in the staff report. And that concludes my introduction to the staff report for Cycle 42.
All right, thank you very much. We appreciate that. Board members, are there any questions at this time? Kathy?
Isn't this property the subject of a CZMP petition?
I believe that is correct.
It was. Yep.
Well, it still is.
Still
because
is,
the
yeah.
decision had
But
to
we
be
didn't
made.
approve it, but yeah, yes.
So,
Hi, Nancy, it's Chris. I just wanted to let you know I've been on since the roll call.
Thank you.
so I don't know, is it appropriate to ask for this when it's no decision's been rendered for the CZMP request?
Mr. Lafferty, can you weigh in on that?
Well, the board can still make its recommendation. If the council makes a decision where the sewer line would be inappropriate with the zoning, the council still has the ultimate decision here on both the zoning as well as approval of the petition. So,
Well, I just kind of feel like this has a backdoor feel to it. That's just my comment.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the board members? Not hearing any. Can I entertain a motion to set a public hearing?
I move to set a public hearing on the Cycle 42 Water Supply and Sewage Master Plan Amendment.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
on which date, Mr. Luca?
Actually, I don't have that in front of me. So what date?
It would be on Thursday, July 18th, 2024 at 5 p.m.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? As a reminder, the public hearing will be in person on July 18th. The board is scheduled to discuss and vote on this matter at the September 5th board meeting. Ms. Bensley will now fill us in on major actions of the June 13th Landmark Preservation Commission meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At their May 9th, 2024 meeting, the Landmarks Preservation Commission voted to issue 7 certificates of appropriateness to the following properties. The Lickakis property located at 1550 South Rolling Road in Relay. The DeLisa property located at 111 North Beechwood Avenue in Catonsville. The D'Antonio property located at 1714 Kurtz Avenue in Lutherville. The Smith property located at 502 Upland Road in Sudbrook Park. The Cease property located at 1605 Front Avenue in Lutherville. The Holt Schmaus property located at 18907 Hillcrest Avenue in Parkton, and the Teep property located at 5009 Tulip Avenue in Relay. And that concludes the report.
Thank you, Ms. Bensley. Mr. McGinnis, I see your hands waved. Is there something you'd like to add? Or maybe he's just saying hello. Okay. And then Ms. Bensley will now fill us in on legislation recently passed by the County Council following our last meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's a lot of them, so buckle up. Bill 3124, Adequate Public Facilities, Overcrowded School Districts, for the purpose of amending the county's Adequate Public Facilities Ordinance, APFO, regarding overcrowded school districts, establishing a certain public school capacity committee, establishing the purposes of the committee, establishing the membership and meetings of the committee, establishing powers and duties of the committee, providing for staffing of the committee, amending information provided at a concept plan informational conference to include procedures for obtaining a school capacity approval certificate, requiring copies of an approved development plan to be sent to the interdepartmental committee, reducing the percentage of state-rated capacity that constitutes an overcrowded school district over a certain period of time, updating the local definition of state-rated capacity to reflect the current definition in state regulations, clarifying that the section applies to residential development on any type of property, exempting certain age-restrictive development, certain redevelopment projects, and certain subdivisions of 3 or fewer units, requiring the timing of the school adequacy assessment to occur after development plan approval, requiring that a development hold an active school capacity approval certificate in order to receive a building permit, establishing criteria that a development must meet in order for a development to receive an active school capacity approval certificate, establishing an expiration date upon which a school capacity approval certificate expires, establishing a certain limitation on school capacity adequacy wait times, requiring the Department of Education to provide certain reports, establishing certain mitigation opportunities, and generally relating to adequate public facilities and school utilization. Bill 3524, zoning regs, RAE1 zone location requirement relative to business zones, for the purpose of amending the parameters in which the residence apartment elevator RAE1 zone may be located, establishing the height for a building located in the RAE1 zone under certain circumstances, and generally relating to the RAE1 zone. Bill 3324, County Charter, Baltimore County Planning Board, confirmation of appointees by County Council. For the purpose of amending the county charter to require all appointees to the Planning Board to be subject to the confirmation by the County Council, establishing a term limit for Planning Board members of 3 consecutive terms, updating certain gendered terms to be gender neutral, and generally relating to the Baltimore County Charter. The Baltimore County Planning Board shall consist of 15 members serving 3-year terms. A member of the Planning Board shall be limited to 3 consecutive terms. 8 members of the Planning Board shall be appointed by the County Executive, and each member of the County Council shall appoint 1 member who shall be a resident of the council member's district. All appointees to the Planning Board shall be subject to confirmation by County Council. The County Executive shall appoint the chair and vice chair. Pursuant to Section 1202 of the Baltimore County Charter, the question of whether or not the charter is to be amended as proposed by this act shall be submitted to the voters of Baltimore County at the general election on November 5th, 2024. Upon ratification by the voters of Baltimore County, the requirements of this act shall apply retroactively to any current members of the Planning Board and prospectively to all future members of the Planning Board. Upon ratification by the voters of Baltimore County, this act shall become effective from and after the 30th day following said election. Bill 3724, Community Reinvestment and Repair Commission and Community Reinvestment and Repair Special Revenue Fund, for the purpose of creating a Community Reinvestment and Repair Commission to make recommendations for the use of funds received from the State Community Reinvestment and Repair Fund, establishing the purposes and duties of the Commission, providing the composition of the Commission, requiring certain reports, defining certain terms, establishing the Community Reinvestment and Repair Special Revenue Fund for the purpose of receiving funds from the State Community Reinvestment and Repair Fund, providing that the Community Reinvestment and Repair Special Revenue Fund shall be a special, non-lapsing fund and generally relating to boards, commissions, and similar bodies and finance. Bill 3824, Comprehensive Zoning Map Process Withdrawal of Issues, for the purpose of permitting a council member to withdraw a CZMP issue under certain circumstances and generally relating to CZMP. Filing for CZMP occurs between September 1 and November 30th, with specific time periods for public and planning director filing, planning board and planning director filing, and county council filing. The bill adds the following language to the code. No later than 5 p.m. on the third full weekday after enactment of this act, notwithstanding any other provision of law, a member of the county council may withdraw all or a portion of a CZMP issue that was filed by either 1, the council member who is withdrawing the issue, or 2, the planning board member who is appointed for the same district as the council member who is withdrawing the issue. Bill 3924, Zoning Regulations, Elderly and Senior Housing Overlay District, for the purpose of amending the definitions of housing for the elderly and senior housing facility, establishing an elderly and senior housing overlay district, providing a statement of legislative intent for the new overlay district, providing for the assignment, uses, and housing types, and special regulations for the overlay districts, and generally relating to overlay districts. Resolution 2824, 2023 Triennial Review, Baltimore County Water Supply and Sewerage Plan. A resolution of the Baltimore County Council adopting the report of the 2023 Triennial Review of the Baltimore County Water Supply and Sewerage Plan. The Planning Board voted to recommend adoption of the 2023 Triennial Review on October 19th, 2023. Resolution 3324, reclassify county-owned land as public park, Perry Hall and Kearney areas. A resolution of the Baltimore County Council to reclassify county-owned land in the Perry Hall and Kearney areas as public park land in order to extend existing public parks and create new public parks. It is a priority of Baltimore County to create new pocket parks for communities around the county and support the creation of new public open space. And the County Council has identified several parcels of land that were previously purchased by the county that are ideal candidates for passive parkland. Reclassifying county-owned land is a cost-effective way to protect open space since no taxpayer funds will be spent for the acquisition, and very few, if any, county dollars are required since the county-owned land will be for passive open space. The intent of this resolution is to preserve these parcels of land as passive open space with minimal active uses and clearance of habitat. A list of parcels designated as public parkland is included on page 2 of the resolution. And with that, I would like to turn things over to Director Lafferty for comments on Bill 3124, the APFL one, and Bill 3324, which relates to confirmation by the County Council for Planning Board members.
Well done, Ms. Bensley. Well done.
Excellent, Taylor. Great summary of all of those. I just want to comment on two of the bills. First has to do with the overcrowded school districts or the adequate public facilities ordinance. As you probably know, the county executive has vetoed that bill, which means that the bill at this stage is dead. It was important for, I think, Taylor to share that, though you can see the complexity of the bill itself. When the county executive announced his veto, he indicated a number of things. One is he did not think it would have a meaningful effect or impact that the legislation, while well-intentioned, would have. Secondly, is the failure to engage the Baltimore County Public Schools in developing the process by which this would go forward. Third, it has to do with his concern that this would violate the voluntary compliance agreement that the county entered into in 2016 to provide units of housing for families in the county. And lastly, second concern that based on the opinion from the law office that this may violate the county charter. He has already, though, reached out to council members, and I think is trying to engage them in conversations about how to move forward, because he, as well as basically everybody, I guess, agrees that overcrowded schools are not necessarily healthy for the kids or for the teachers or for the environment in which they're going to school. So it's not he was not criticizing the council for trying to find a strategy for addressing overcrowded schools, but took issue with the way that they approached it and the fear and concerns for potential litigation against the county. Second bill I want to comment on is the proposed charter amendment regarding the planning board members. Initially, this was introduced to require confirmation of all members of the board. And that would include individuals who are appointed by the respective council members in addition to the county executive's 8 appointees. It was then amended to add language to set term limits. And those term limits are, as Taylor read, a member cannot serve more than 3 consecutive terms. The issue that becomes problematic for some of our members is the retroactive language means that if a member has already served 3 consecutive terms, then that member would have to step off the board 30 days after, if the charter amendment passes, that member would have to step off the board 30 days after the charter is adopted by the well, actually it has to be certified after it's certified by the Board of Elections. So we have some members to whom that would apply. It would not allow them to serve out their terms. There actually is a specific provision in the county code that makes it clear that planning board members, unlike other boards and commissions, are not to carry over and wait for another person to be appointed for that vacancy. That has not been the practice. The practice has been if there's no appointee, a new appointee, that person has remained in that seat. This would address that and have those members who have served 3 terms or will have already served 3 terms by that time cannot then be reappointed. So I just wanted to add that, which is, I think, a nuance that's not necessarily clear in the bill, but we asked the Office of Law for their interpretation on that. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Lafferty. Are there any questions for Mr. Lafferty on the comments that were just addressed? Not hearing any. This is the conclusion of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Enjoy your weekend and happy 4th of July to all of you.
Thank
Nancy,
you.
And you, Nancy.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Nancy, before we leave, the next meeting's on July 2nd.
It'll be canceled. I'm gonna send out the email tomorrow. So
Thank you, Taylor.
our next meeting will be July 18th, and that meeting will be in person.
Thank you, Ms. Bensley.
Thank you, everybody.